Welcome to Watch the Bookerman and to part 8 of this 10-part TNA 2009 series. This save is done in TEW 2016, but is the precursor and the prelude to a TEW 2020 save that I have planned, where I book TNA from the beginning of 2010 with Paul Heyman having taken over the company's creative side. We'll see how his vision plays out in that save, but for now we have to look to build to Final Resolution 2009, the last pay-per-view of the decade and the final one for this save, and this is the go-home show to that episode. We've got AJ Styles v Daniels as the main event for that pay-per-view, as well as a 3 Degrees of Pain match between Desmond Wolfe and Kurt Angle, so we'll see how the build continues on this episode of Impact. And we begin with AJ Styles coming down, and he cuts a promo on the upcoming pay-per-view match, but he's saying that he doesn't know what to think anymore. Daniels last week claimed that he was the latest victim of Tom Cole's random assaults, but there were no witnesses and no proof, and when Samoa Joe offered Daniels the chance to get his revenge on Tom Cole at the end of the night, he refused, he didn't come out, and he was nowhere to be seen. AJ Styles says that between Daniels and Joe and Tom Cole, he doesn't know what to think right now, and he just has to focus on retaining the world title. This brings Daniels out, who is offended, and understandably so if he is innocent in all this, because he doesn't want to be lumped in with Samoa Joe and Tom Cole, considering that he's been best friends with AJ Styles for many years. AJ Styles sort of softens his stance and understands that. He says he doesn't want to doubt Daniels, but there's so much going on and he's so confused. He just wants a fair fight, and he offers his hand to Daniels, who goes to accept it. Before they can embrace in the ring, Samoa Joe comes out and he says that AJ is making a huge mistake. He adds that if Styles is too dumb to put the pieces together, when Joe wins Feast or Fired this Sunday and hopefully gets the world title shot, it's going to be Daniels he has to take his shot against, because if AJ Styles doesn't open his eyes, he will lose the title to Daniels with the assistance of Tom Cole this Sunday. Samoa Joe absolutely convinced that Daniels has something to do with Tom Cole's return. Daniels has been acting suspiciously in recent weeks, but we still don't have any stonewall evidence against him, so again we will continue to see how that storyline develops as we go into the opening match of the night, Sarita defeating Velvet Sky. This was originally planned to be a tag team match, but Taylor Wilde's bizarre injury from last week's episode meant that I had to change it to a singles match, but the result is the same. Lacey Von Erich with a badly timed interference, and Sarita can pick up the win as a result. The beautiful people are then interviewed by Lauren Brooke in the ring about their ongoing issues. They've been struggling recently and they don't seem to be the cohesive unit that they once were, particularly when Angelina Love was there, although she's not mentioned by name. They just turn on Lauren Brooke. They don't want to discuss the issues or accept the issues. Instead, they just call the interviewer names before leaving the ring. We come back from the break and Jeremy Borash is talking to Sarita, and she's updating us on Taylor Wilde's injury last week. She's going to be back to full fitness soon, but for now she's going to have to take a few weeks off and get back to 100%. As the interview is ongoing, Hamada walks in. She has beaten both Knockouts Tag Team Champions within the last month, and while she doesn't have a tag team partner, it's clear that she is definitely interested in those championships. The second match of the night sees D'Angelo De Niro and Suicide, a makeshift former enemies turned allies tag team, defeated by Team 3D. This isn't a surprising result. Team 3D are the cohesive team, one of the greatest teams in the history of professional wrestling, and they pick up a fairly decisive victory. A little bit of miscommunication between the two guys who will face the Extreme Alumni and Jesse Neal. During the bout, the other 4 men involved in the 8-man elimination match at Final Resolution, they all fight Hernandez, Morgan, Rhino and Jesse Neal, which leaves just Team 3D standing tall in the ring. Of course they're the more cohesive unit, and perhaps that will give them the edge in this Sunday's final match between these guys. That is the blow off to this storyline, and it will be over after this Sunday. Tom Cole then cuts another promo on AJ Styles, the man who will face in tonight's main event, and again he doesn't want to talk about Samoa Joe and Daniels because this is personal. This has got nothing to do with anything or anybody else. Tom Cole says that AJ Styles might walk into Final Resolution as the world champion, but after what Tom Cole does tonight, there is no chance that AJ Styles will go into 2010 as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. We then get a match between Abyss and Homicide, a preview of the Foley's Funhouse match at the pay-per-view. Again, we're just continuing to build out with a really good match that gets the crowd buzzing. Mick Foley at ringside is able to encourage and cheer on Abyss, who picks up a victory over Homicide. I think these two would have a really good match. I think their styles match up quite well, and it's come out pretty good in the game, as pretty much everything does, but the point is, a good match to end the first hour. Mick Foley has the chance to get his hands on Stevie and take him out post-match, but instead holds him in his grip. Abyss is there as well. Stevie is afraid and trying to get away. Foley agrees to let him go, but at the pay-per-view it's going to get a whole lot worse for Dr. Stevie. We then come back for the second hour of the show, and Mike Tenay and Taz are talking about the Wolf Angle rivalry. There'll be an interview later tonight involving the two of them. They're not at the building due to what happened in their brawl the other week. They've both been told to stay home and prepare for the pay-per-view. We don't want to repeat what happened 2 weeks ago. Of course, there was also that development last week when Desmond Wolf refused to compete in the match. Kurt Angle putting his career on the line to secure the chance to get his hands on Wolf in that 3 Degrees of Pain match at the pay-per-view, and Wolf agreed to that because since coming to TNA, his whole MO has been getting rid of Kurt Angle to clear his path to the World Championship. We then get a video package highlighting the X Division roster past and present, and it's done very much in the style of the Knockouts one from last week. There'll also be one for the Tag Team Division on the episode after the pay-per-view, and it's just about getting a uniform style. We have a young, hungry, aggressive roster, but there are many different parts of that roster. We've got the World Heavyweight Championship scene, we've got the X Division, the Knockouts, and the Tag Team Division. It's a diverse roster, all different styles and all different approaches, all coming together. And this particular one is about the X Division featuring AJ Styles, the current champion Amazing Red, the Machine Guns, Samoa Joe, Creed and Jay Lethal, all great performers, and hopefully we can get some really good highlights and clips from the X Division that's just going to continue to hype up and promote that division as we go into a match where the Amazing Red puts in another good performance. Sheikh Abdul Bashir is really only there to highlight Amazing Red's abilities and his skills. He's there to be the recipient of all of Amazing Red's spots and such, and Red picks up a win with the Red Eye. Not 100% sure what that move is, but the Amazing Red stands tall after the match, joined by Don West. This is the man. If you could put the X Division into one person, it would be Amazing Red, the high-flying, risk-taking style, and he is the X Division champion for a reason. We then get an interview with some of the guys in the Feast or Fired match this Sunday. Both members of Beer Money are involved in that. They talk about hopefully getting the tag team title shot, but there's also the possibility that it could be one of them getting the world title shot and one of them losing their job. Samoa Joe walks in and he tells the two that he has his eyes on one prize and he's going to let nothing get in the way of it. He is willing to risk his career in order to take home the world title briefcase. We then get the second last match, and just as Tara did the previous week, ODB is able to pick up a victory over Tracy Brooks. Fairly straightforward, but there is more aggression coming from ODB. Obviously she's already an aggressive type of character, but even more, perhaps stepping over the line before eventually winning the match with the running power slam. Nonetheless, Tara is unhappy with what she perceives to be ODB's overly aggressive approach. Tara beat Tracy Brooks fairly quickly last week, and ODB could have done the same, but ODB decided to add another minute and a half to the match where she could send a message to Tara, the two going face to face. This heated rivalry, don't yet have a face and heel in this storyline, but it's clear that the tensions between the two individuals are running very high. As we go into another video package covering the very personal rivalry between Lashley and Steiner, I didn't really have a place for these two men, and there's not really much more I can do with this storyline. It's all been about Steiner creeping out and stalking Crystal Lashley, and we've done those segments and we've got the heat between the two, so I didn't want to add something just for the sake of it. So it's just a video package recapping what's happened and the fact that this Sunday will be the final match between the two, Lashley v Steiner, in a last man standing match. Continuing as we are to promote the pay-per-view, we get a split screen interview. The commentators talking to Wolf and Kurt Angle, and it again just gets heated between the two of them, despite them not being in the same room or the same building. Wolf puts over that he wants to end the career of Kurt Angle and beat him for the third time in a row. Kurt Angle says there is no way that he is not walking out of the pay-per-view victorious, whether he has to make him tap out, whether he has to pin him, and whether he has to escape the cage. Kurt Angle is not done with his TNA career. There is also the added stipulation that the winner of this match will get a shot at either AJ Styles or Daniels or Bobby Lashley, whoever is the TNA World Champion, at Genesis 2010, so there is even more stakes on this. Not only is Kurt Angle's career on the line, but the winner will face the TNA World Champion in the future. And it's a fairly disappointing main event. The two not clicking has hurt it quite significantly. AJ Styles defeats Tomko, however, in just over 10 minutes. Tomko does get some offense in and overpowers AJ Styles, allowing for the comeback, but the idea is still that AJ Styles has had something taken out of him during the match, and it is only 3 days from the airing to the pay-per-view, so Daniel's definitely in a better position, and things go from bad to worse for AJ Styles. He is selling the injuries, but is jumped from behind by Tomko, who makes it even worse. Daniels comes out to the top of the ramp, and it looks like he's going to save Daniels from Tomko, but he stops. The commentators don't understand why. He's not encouraging or happy about what Tomko's doing, and he's not cheering him on, but Daniels seems conflicted, perhaps the fact that he wants to help his friend, but he does see that if Tomko lays out AJ Styles, it is his chance to become the TNA World Champion for the first time ever. This could be his only opportunity to get that title, and he turns his back. He looks sad about what he's doing. He's not happy to be doing this to his best friend, but he stands by as Tomko lays out AJ Styles with a TKO in the middle of the ring. The show ends with Tomko standing tall, Daniel shaking his head, disappointed in himself as the commentators are, but he has given himself the best chance to win this Sunday at Final Resolution. So the show got a little bit of a negative because the broadcast quality is lower than one of our rivals. I'm assuming one of the companies around us have upped their production quality, probably WWE, although I don't even know if we're classed as competition for them. This show increased our popularity in 26 regions though, so not really hurt by it, and we continue the build. I'm pretty happy with the build. We put over pretty much every match quite strongly going into the pay-per-view. The last pay-per-view of the series and of the decade, AJ Styles v Daniels, gets the increased intrigue. Is Daniels working with Tomko? Is he just doing what's best for himself? We don't know, but we will find out at that pay-per-view. As well as that, we've got Desmond Wolfe v Kurt Angle, the chance that Kurt Angle will end his TNA career at that pay-per-view. The rumours will be that Paul Heyman wants to get rid of everybody over 40. Kurt Angle is not going to be the only one who could potentially lose their job at Final Resolution, as there is that feast or fired match. 4 cases, one man will get the World Championship shot, one man will get a Tag Team Championship shot with a partner of his choosing, one man will get the X Division Championship shot, but one man will be fired from TNA.